tied a CFL record with 5 sacks in one game. He needs 5 more sacks in his final 2 games to set a new single-season mark. So tonight, Fives Are Wild as number 55 goes for more. Leading the Memphis charge into Toronto, defensive tackle Rodney Harding. He returns to face his former teammates, and while Pepper Rogers' team leads the league in defense, he knows the offense will have to come to life if the Mad Dogs are going to keep their faint playoff hopes alive. It's been a dismal year for Bobo Bilovich as the Argos will miss the playoffs for the 3rd time in 4 years. And to make matters worse, quarterback Kent Austin will not start because of a rib injury. That leaves Marvin Graves to try and drive Memphis mad. If they do win, it'll be the 2nd time they've downed the Dogs this season.
CFL Live. Tonight's game from Skydome, the Memphis Mad Dogs and the Toronto Argonauts.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the CFL Live on TSN. I'm Darren Detition. Glad you tuned in for the Memphis Mad Dogs and the Toronto Argonauts as we are now officially into the stretch run. With just 2 weeks to go in the CFL regular season, there are 2 playoff spots available. One in the north, one in the south. 4 teams fighting it out, including the Mad Dogs, who are still alive because last night, Birmingham lost to the Eskimos 45-18, but more importantly, quarterback Matt Dunnigan broke his index finger on his throwing hand. He will be out the rest of the season. The South standings tell the story. Memphis is still alive, but they have to beat the Argos tonight and then the Eskimos next week, while hoping Birmingham loses to the San Antonio Texans. With more on tonight's game, let's go to Skydome as John and Leaf are standing by. Guys?
Darren, the Mad Dogs have the top defense in the Canadian Football League, but the offense has really struggled, Leaf, averaging just 18 points a game. Not enough.
No, it isn't. It's really been a problem area for them. You know, you look at good offenses, and what do they have? They all have good offensive lines, and that can't be said for Memphis. It's not the same offensive line they started the season with. They're better now, but that is really their Achilles heel.
For the Argonauts, it's been an embarrassing season from start to right now, and a few guys are looking to find jobs for 1996.
Yeah, they're at that point in the season now. Some of the veterans are playing for their jobs, and some of the young guys like linebacker Sheldon Benoit, are getting a chance to play and show the coaching staff what they can do. I think you have to look at Marvin Graves, who will start at quarterback tonight. Pressure's on for him. He's had a horrible year coming back from back surgery. Tonight he can kind of salvage something and get ready for next season.
And thanks to the Eskimos' win last night over Birmingham, the Mad Dogs are still hanging in the playoff race in the South. Darren?
Thank you very much, gentlemen. On now to our game story. Tim Cofield, simply put, wreaked havoc in the offensive backfield. With 22 sacks in the season, he is 5 sacks shy of the CFL record of 26.5 sacks set by James Quick Parker in 1984 with the BC Lions. Meanwhile, he might be the CFL's Rookie of the Year. Joe Horn, 63 catches, 1,245 yards and receptions, 4 touchdowns. Great numbers for a vet, let alone a rookie. Marvin Graves, this is his time to shine. Meanwhile, the Boatmen also beat up Don Wilson, Jim Cunningham, Jeff Fairholm, and Kent Austin are all out of the lineup. Time now for the opening kickoff. Let's get you back to Skydome and John and Lee. Gentlemen?
First visit by the Memphis Mad Dogs to Skydome in Toronto. And as mentioned, the Mad Dogs still have a little something on the line with two games to go in the 1995 CFL season. Pinball Clemens is back for the Argos, and we're underway as Maestrom is under this one. It's coming down to Morton, taking it the 15, and he's decked crossing the 25-yard line. Tonight's starting lineups brought to you by Mr. Sub. Fresh thinking is what we are. And Marvin Graves will likely finish out the season at quarterback for the Argos. He makes his 3rd start of the year. Joe Burgos is back along the offensive line at right tackle, making it 2 imports up front. The outside receivers, Masadi and John Morton. Inside, it's Crefo and Climby, and Pinball Clemens will run the ball for the Argonauts.
And John, already John Morton, who is going to start tonight at wide receiver, took the opening kickoff and was absolutely drilled by Bruce Perkins on the cover team. And you're going to get a good look at it coming from the right of your screen as 32 Bruce Perkins, like a shot right there. And that's a head popper. And Morton, I mean, I think he got the knockout punch right there. And, you know, they were counting on him to start tonight at wide receiver. They're thin already with Fairholm out.
This was to be Morton's 4th game with the Argonauts, but he gets a chance to move outside with Jimmy Cunningham on the sidelines for this one.
That's right. Cunningham not available with an ankle injury. So there's Bruce Perkins. I mean, this guy is not known as a big hitter. I've always criticized him for his lack of blocking ability as a fullback that is 232 pounds. But on the opening kickoff, he absolutely KO'd John Morton.
Well, Morton is up and heading to the sideline, so hopefully he'll be back in the ball game. One of the trainers down there smiling at him, so perhaps he's just a little bit groggy and will get a chance to get back into the game.
By the way he's walking off the field, you get the feeling that it was that knockout punch. He's pretty wobbly.
Here's a guy to watch, number 55, Tim Cofield, with 22 sacks. He had 5 last week against the Edmonton Eskimos, and the Argos are well aware of that. 1st and 10, Toronto beginning at the 27. Graves has time near side. Pinball Clemens, the intended receiver. He couldn't hang on, and he's forced out quickly by Ford. Mad Dogs solid up front with Harding and the CFL sack leader Tim Cofield along that front 4. Missing in the middle is Greg Battle. Landon Bartow takes his place, and there's lots of experience in this Memphis secondary with Lyons, Odegaard, Berry, and Smith.
Greg Battle had a deep thigh bruise coming out of that Edmonton game a week ago, so he will sit out. Also, Alex Gordon with a season-ending knee injury, their other Russian, who is having a terrific season.
On 2nd and 10, too high for Paul Masadi out near the 45-yard line. Damian Lyons was covering, and there were a few Mad Dogs in the vicinity, so 2 and out for the Argos as the special team heads onto the field.
And not the way you want to start if you're Marvin Graves. I mean, you'd like to complete a couple of balls. Pinball Clemens dropped the first one, should have been caught. That was just a bad throw for Paul Mazzotti. You see the pretty tight coverage by Damian Lyons to the inside, and then Jamie Redmond helping out as well. But a tough start for Marvin Graves.
Baker's kick is not deep, taken near the 50-yard line by Smith, and he's out across the 53. Don Smith with a 7-yard return, 36-yard punts. Quarterback Damon Allen makes his 13th start for the Mad Dogs. He remains the team's leading rusher and hits on 58% of his passes. The offensive line has been juggled several times and has allowed 39 sacks. Rookie Joe Horn is the star among the Memphis receivers. Al Shipman, the youngest player in the CFL, is the top running back for the Mad Dogs. And they're in good field position, beginning at their own 53. Allen on target on his first pass. He'll have plenty for the first down. Horn lost the ball, and it's picked up by Shipman, I do believe. Joe Horn made the catch on the toss, picked up 30 yards, then lost it. And it looks like the Mad Dogs have recovered.
And the offensive line did a good job. Joe Horn initially just choking down off the line of scrimmage, and all of a sudden he gives you the burst inside, and once he clears Tommy Henry, right now the ball is in the air. Damon Allen, a nice read on the coverage, and you know, the ball comes loose, but Shipman was able to recover.
Allen keeps it on the ground this time. This is Anderson, and he falls across the 20-yard line down to about the 17. Another solid play for the Mad Dogs deep in Argo territory. Jeff Cummins and Swift Birch are the only real veterans in the Argo front 4. Calvin Tiggle stands alone among the linebackers, with Benoit Collins showing little playing experience. And in the secondary, another new face. Dan Murphy will begin at safety. From the shotgun, Allen to his left this time. Can't find a receiver. He takes off on 2nd down. He'll have enough for the first down. He needed a couple.
You know, John, it was interesting. David Allen and I had a nice chat before the game, and one of the things we talked about, obviously, was his running ability, and you know, the fact that he is going to have to do that from time to time to keep drives going and maybe change the flow of the game. He is their leading rusher with those 415 yards, but you know, one of the things he said tonight, he said, I'm going to go to hurry up a lot more because we send in all our plays from the bench. Sometimes I don't like that. So if I go hurry up, I can call my own game. That's kind of interesting.
From the 14 on first down, Allen just missed his target that time as he looked for Sean Collins, number 89. And Tommy Henry got a hand on it, number 6 for the Argos.
You know, one of the things Pepper Rogers did this year, there you see him with his back to you, was change offensive coordinators midstream. Adam Rita was removed of those duties, and Buddy Guys took over, and Buddy Guys now calls all the plays from the sidelines. And, you know, going back to what I just said, Damon Allen sometimes is not on the same page with Buddy Guys, but that's their system. So I said, how do you get away from it? He says, I'll go hurry up. Then I can call my own plays, and that's what he's done to start this game.
One way to get around it on 2nd and 10. Allen looks to the end zone, and he's too far, intending that for Walter Wilson, number 84. So a solid drive by the Mad Dogs that stalls at the Argonauts 14.
Here's Walter Wilson at the top running the corner pattern. Actually a pretty good throw. Damon Allen had to put it to this spot. They run the switch to get inside and get a little coverage on the inside halfback, Joe Fuller, but Fuller's in perfect position there. I mean, that's a good throw, so Fuller can't make the play, but he had such good position that there was no way that Wilson was going to make the catch.
Nick Mystrom is in, and he has been kicking perfectly of late. He's 10 for his last 10. Spotted at the 20-yard line, and he's 11 for his last 11 as the Mad Dogs march for a field goal and an early 3-0 lead in the Argos at Skydome in Toronto.
CFL Live on TSN. Brought to you by Pepsi. Nothing else is a Pepsi. And by Bell, Advantage long-distance services from the Alliance of Canada's only full-service telecommunications companies.
Has this been the longest of all seasons for this Argonaut head coach? The winningest head coach in Toronto history, Bob Obilovich, at 3-13.
Well, it's interesting right now, you know, in the opening, John, we talked about a lot of players on Toronto's team playing for jobs and getting opportunities to show the coach what they can do. Well, Obi wears both hats. I mean, he's the general manager, too, so, you know, he's got both those positions, so there's a lot of guys trying to impress him tonight and show him that they are good enough to stick around next year.
This is Pinball Clemens trying to turn the corner, and he's wrapped up quickly and forced back by Tim Cofield. The pinball couldn't scoot underneath Tim Cofield that time.
When I look at Toronto tonight, John, one of the things I really felt against this Memphis defense, it would be a lot easier for Toronto to throw on first down and then maybe run on second down. Some people would say, well, you know, why? That's kind of backwards. But, you know, Memphis gets such a good, you know, first down, they're not sure if you're going to run or throw. So maybe that's a good time to throw. They're not coming that hard. But when you get them in second and long situations, hey, guys like Cofield and Harding, they're coming upfield, and maybe those are the downs you can run on. But you've got to get a little bit of yardage, short passing on first down, not second and 9.
A good fake by Graves, but it didn't fool him for long as the Mad Dogs surrounded him, and Cofield is there to celebrate his first sack of the ball game. That's number 23 on the season.
And one of the things Toronto wanted to do tonight was to put Dwayne Ford to Cofield's side, and you know, all of a sudden you've just got Dwayne Ford blocking by himself, and that's no match for Cofield. He actually fights off two people. The backside guard, Chris Giaskos, was there, and you know, there you go, 23 sacks. And when you're looking at the record, it's held by James Parker at 26-5. He's not far away.
Baker's punt for Adrian Smith finds a little bit of a seam, and he's out across midfield. Maurice Kelly leading the Argo tacklers, 12 yards on the return. A 40-yard punt for Terry Baker. So again, the Mad Dogs have great field position. Cofield on the sidelines, heading for a CFL record in a number of sacks in 18 games.
You know, John, one of the reasons Tim Cofield gets so many sacks, is second effort and hustle. I mean, you watch as he comes upfield initially, boom. Dwayne Ford takes him on. You see Chris Gioscas come from the backside. He tries to get a block. So, I mean, this isn't super pass rush. That's just extra effort. He ends up getting a sack.
First down. So off, Brett Collins supplying the tackle for the Argonauts there. Standing up against Shipman. Averaging 5.2 yards a carry in his 12 games in the Canadian Football League so far. Al Shipman.
Boy, he's got some jets, too. He's a legitimate 4.28 sprinter. So if you give him some open field, you know he's going to do some damage in the secondary.
On 2nd and 5, Collins makes the catch, and it's another Mad Dogs first down. Tiggle cut up to him from behind. And he got a little help from Dan Murphy, number 17, playing the safety spot.
Collins, a wide receiver, moving to slot at 6'3", 210. He becomes a terrific target for Allen to find, and settles down in the zone coverage. And once again, Allen in this hurry-up offense, so he can call his own plays.
Inside the 25, Allen goes to the far side of the field, and Wilson, the intended receiver, never had an opportunity. Coverage out there by Joe Miro. Miro from Winnipeg on June 25th. Saw a little time with the Ottawa Rough Riders and the Shreveport Pirates in 1994.
So Damon Allen and I, when we chatted too, we said, hey, Sheldon Benoit and Brett Collins, the outside linebackers for Toronto tonight, little or no experience. Those are guys you have to attack with, maybe Lucius Floyd and Al Shipman. And he said, yeah, that is certainly part of our plan to try and get that isolation.
Mad Dogs looking at 2nd and 10. Allen stands in. Throws up a free one, picked off rather easily by Joe Fuller. That one floated, but there's a marker down back at the line. Ken Lazaruk is in charge of proceedings. The initial indication is a penalty against Memphis.
Offside, Memphis number 84, decline. First down.
So the interception will stand as Walter Wilson moved a little bit early. Joe Fuller comes up with his 3rd interception of the season, and the Argos force the Mad Dogs to turn it over in the opening quarter. Damon Allen has tossed his 13th interception of the season. He's only thrown for 11 touchdowns, and the Argos get it back at the 5.
And I'll show you what happens. Here's Dan Murphy, the middle safety. Now watch, he's coming up on the safety blitz. Let it run and then just freeze it. And I'm going to show you how they fool Damon Allen, a veteran quarterback. See, he sees Murphy right there coming. Now he's thinking, stop it right there. Home run in the middle. This is Joe Fuller. He's going to end up, they've got a nickel defense with Maurice Kelly coming in as the extra defensive back. Allen tries to hit the home run, but Fuller's back in the middle. They put a nice disguise in there, fooled Allen, and got the interception. That's solid defense.
Argos from the 5. Here's Graves handing off to the pinball, Mike Clemens. And the pinball has decent yardage there as he leads the Canadian Football League right now in all-purpose yards, with 2,232 coming into this one tonight.
Boy, has he been a bright spot in an otherwise miserable season. There you see him leading the league now.
It's a great race, though, Leeper.
Between those 4 guys, there's only 71 yards separating them. But wouldn't it be nice for pinball if through all of this he came out on top in that category?
2nd and about 4 as the pinball gets it again, and he'll have an Argo first down out across the 20. Stopped by Darrell Ford.
See, that's what I said, John. I think sometimes 2nd down, is going to be your best down to run against Memphis because they're pass rushing so hard upfield. That time Cofield came upfield and pinball was able to cut inside him and get those yards. That's why I think throwing on 1st down, running on 2nd down might be the best way for Toronto to go tonight.
And a little breathing room for the Argos up near the 20 now. Clemens again. He fights for maybe 2 this time. Tim Cofield standing over the tackler there, cheering him on.
I know one of the big schemes Toronto has tonight is quick screens to the wide receiver. Now, I don't know, without having John Morton in the lineup, knocked out on the opening kickoff, if that's going to make a difference, but that certainly could be a good first down play for them.
Gain of 1, this will be 2nd and 9 as Obi looks on, trying to coax another win out of the Argonauts. Graves in trouble and down with penalty markers on the field. And that time it's Michael Armstrong, number 99, getting to the Argo quarterback. Offside, the initial indication from referee Ken Lazarek.
Offside, Memphis, number 99, 5-yard penalty, second down, repeat it.
No wonder Michael Armstrong got to the quarterback.
Well, he was in there in a hurry, but he was on that launching pad a little too early. Now he's playing for Alex Gordon, who's out. He had a season-ending knee injury last week. Michael Armstrong was always rotating in. Now he gets to be the starter tonight.
Graves looking at 2nd and 4. And he missed his target. Jock Climby was in the area, so was Mike Morreale.
Now that's one of those things where Jock Climby and Marvin Graves just haven't worked together long enough, because Climby read zone coverage, and as an experienced receiver, he sits down in the hole. Marvin Graves thinking he's still going to the out. He's throwing the out, but really Climby made the right read, and Marvin Graves didn't make the right throw.
So Baker is in, stepping across his 15 to launch this one. Coming down to Jordan. Good kick by Baker as Jordan begins now near the 30. Forced out at about the 37 as he was chased back to the 30 for a 7-yard return. It's 3-0 Mad Dogs leading the Argos. Back live at Skydome where the Mad Dogs lead the Argonauts 3-0. 6:02 to go, opening quarter. Damon Allen looks it over with a core of receivers that really has only one star. That's Joe Horn.
Yeah, he's a good one, and he's had a great rookie season, over 1,200 yards. You know, I mean, that is a heck of a year. Those are Damon Allen's numbers in the first quarter. So, John, you talked in the opening about offensive problems. One of the reasons why they have struggled, I mean, they have put an offensive package in, and they're so intent each week on just executing that particular package that sometimes they don't take advantage of matchups with their personnel against other teams. Guys like Al Shipman against the linebacker, maybe Lucius Floyd now against the linebacker. They're so intent on just running the plays that are in that package, sometimes they miss some advantages in their matchup situations.
Mad Dogs have had better field position on the earlier possessions, both outside the 50. Allen starts inside the 38, and he's decked by Jeff Cummins. His 6th sack of the season, number 99.
And he has perfected that dance since the beginning of the year. Beginning of the year was kind of just one of those things. He jumped around a little bit. Now he's got some choreography in all these moves.
Well, he learned that in Vegas last year, watching the reviews on the strip.
He must have, but see, he's looking at the scoreboard right now. See the eyes? They're up at the scoreboard checking out his move. All the guys do that here at Skydome. You know, when they're facing that way, they can just kind of suddenly look up there and see what they did.
Loss of 2, 2nd and 12, as Allen is on target to Shipman, but he stopped well short of the first down. Collins in on the tackle. That's number 39. Getting an opportunity. He played 9 games with the Rams in 1994.
And that's one of those matchups that we talked about that might be favorable for Memphis, but Brett Collins was right there on Al Shipman. Shipman extremely fast, but Brett Collins getting the start tonight ahead of Don Wilson, who's got a turf toe injury. I mean, he made a heck of a play there.
Gardere with a pretty solid average, and so does the pinball Mike Clemens, standing back at his 21.
Well, there's a funny story about Pete Gardere we'll get to later in this game about the first time these two teams met earlier this year.
He was tired that night. This is high for Gardere, from Gardere, coming down to the pinball. Started inside the 20s, up near the 25, and Gary Anderson leads the Mad Dog tacklers that time.
That's funny. Pepper Rogers said, you know, in the first game, Toronto won 11-10, and probably the worst game ever played in professional football. He's
anywhere in
the world. But Pete Gardere was involved in 27 punts between the two teams. He actually pulled a muscle. He kicked so much that night and was out for a month. So not only do you have the worst game ever played, you lose your punter for a month because he had to kick too much. That's pretty good story.
He punted 14 times that night, got a little leg weary. On first down for the Argos, there's nowhere for Graves to go as Rodney Harding, number 77, comes through with his 9th sack of the season. He is the Argos all-time leading sack leader and has 9 as a Mad Dog.
And here he is right there coming up, and this is just a simple swim and get into that backfield as fast as you can. Boom! That's not even a swim. Carl Kohler just couldn't stay with him, trying to block back, and Harding gets his sack, and well, they're going to honor him tonight. That's his 9th. He has 101 in his whole career. That's a pretty good career.
Go back, go back.
2nd and 15 facing Marvin Graves now. More heat. Graves just about intercepted on the far side. Awfully close over there.
Donald Smith had that one set in his sights, and that's what's going to happen. You get 2nd and 15 against the #1 defense in the league, and you're going to see a lot of this. Donald Smith was just hanging on that out pass to Mazzotti and almost came up with the pick. And it's a tough defense, and you're at 2nd and long. You don't have a hope of beating this team.
Don Smith, an Eastern All-Star with Winnipeg in '93. Here's Baker's punt. Bit of a knuckler this time, bouncing at midfield and over the head of Smith. It's Adrian Smith waiting to pick it up inside the 25, looking for a block, can't get one. Joe Fuller with a solid tackle, actually just put his shoulder into the punt returner that time. -3 on the return, 57 on the punt.
Joe Fuller played 9 games with Shreveport earlier this year, and they didn't like the way he was playing. They let him go, and the Argonauts picked him up. He's had a couple of interceptions for them and played well on special teams, as you saw in that last play. So, you know, where Shreveport didn't think he was performing, all of a sudden he gets a change of scenery, and he's back to the level that he was about 3-4 years ago.
Mad Dogs beginning this time at the 30-yard line. This is Al Shipman breaking through. Better than 7 yards. And Calvin Tiggle in on the tackle, number 73. Tiggle playing out his option with the Argos this season. Would like to have a little peek at the National Football League.
Some talk that he may want to try his luck back there again. You see him flowing from the left side of your screen across to make a good hit on Shipman. I don't know. He's had a tough year. Injuries have bothered him, and play has not been as good as it was a year ago.
Perkins on 2nd and 1, and he doesn't have the first down. It was Collins, number 39, trying to make an impression when he gets an opportunity to play for Don Wilson tonight.
Swift Birch gets the initial penetration, just gets underneath the tackle. Chris Perez, he's the one that creates all the damage. Brett Collins cleans up, but that was Swift Birch's play right there. And, you know, you look at guys in a lousy season who have played well. Swift Birch has played well.
Pinball Clemens standing out across the 25 at the 27. Gardere across his 30 to get a high one away. Clemens takes it on the run, and there's nowhere to go after that, but he does draw a marker on the coverage by Speedy Smith down there. 2 yards on the return, 35 on the punts. And the penalty going against the Mad Dogs, so the Argos will come out of this with their best field position so far.
No yards. Memphis, number 12, 15-yard penalty. First down, Toronto.
John, you look at this game, and obviously there's nothing at stake for Toronto, but for Memphis, there's a lot at stake. They trail Birmingham by 4 points. Of course, Birmingham loses last night. Now, if Memphis happened to win their final 2 games and Birmingham would lose their remaining game and they're tied head-to-head, Memphis won their only meeting this year, they qualify for the playoffs. So this obviously is an enormous game for them.
On first down, Graves can't find a receiver. Markers come down in the Argo backfield, and now Jock Climby comes up with it. He'll have a first down or close to it, depending on the penalty, but it might be a holding against the Argos. Danton Bartow, the middle linebacker, making the tackle on Climby.
Holding, Toronto, number 34, 10-yard penalty. First down repeated.
That's Dwayne Ford, the fullback, singled out that time by Ken Lazarek.
But, you know, this is really a tough assignment for Dwayne Ford. There he is right there. And what, you know, when you put him on an island with Tim Cofield, I mean, I think you're asking too much. Look how easily Cofield just pushes away from him. I mean, that's not much of a hold. Yeah, he got his hands extended out there. That's what the officials look for. But, boy, I mean, Ford's not going to win those battles. They're going to help him more.
Argos on 1st and 20. Pinball takes it And he's back within a couple of yards of the original line of scrimmage, tackled by number 27, Bobby Dawson, former Tiger Cat.
Number 27 is Bobby Dawson. 7-yard pickup, 2nd and 13.
So, John, on the opening kickoff, Bruce Perkins drilled Morton. So now all of a sudden on special teams, he's going to get a little extra attention. There's Maurice Kelly holding him. Now Norm Consola's holding him. And all of a sudden, he's become a marked man out there. Yeah, and they give him a shot at the end.
Argos 2nd and 13 at the 49. Graves. Morreale can't make the catch. Damian Lyons was covering on Morreale, who's into the ball game with John Morton on the sidelines.
And this really hurts Toronto. I mean, Mike Morreale, I think he's going to be a good receiver. There's a lot in him that I've seen this year that you have to like. But at this point in time as a wide receiver, he's no match for Damian Lyons, who's been an all-star. Yeah, Mike Morreale could be a good one, but tonight he's in tough.
Pretty good kick by Terry Baker. Jordan ready to return and surrounded by Argonauts with a penalty marker down at the 22. 4 yards on the return, 38 yards on the Baker punt.
We have a flag on the play.
And Lazarick, here's what the call might be. It's against the Argonauts. With 22 seconds on the clock in the opening quarter.
No yards. Toronto, number 28, 15-yard penalty. First down, Memphis.
Damon Allen good on 3 of 7 for 53 yards and the 1 touchdown that really didn't hurt the Mad Dogs very much. The Argos taking over at the 5-yard line. 1 interception, I should say. 0 touchdowns. Interception down at the Argo 5.
Yeah.
Joe Horn to the near side. Walter Wilson flanks out of your picture, far side of the field. First down Memphis out across the 35. Little play action for Allen. Throwing onto the cover, and he'll have a first down as Horn makes the catch.
Damon Allen.
In front of Marcelo Simmons, number 9. That's the end of quarter number 1 at Skydome, Toronto. The Mad Dogs march for the only points of the game on their opening drive. Back at Skydome to begin the second quarter with the Mad Dogs on top of the Argonauts 3-0 and an early field goal by Nick Meistrup. And Memphis has the football one more time, just shy of midfield. 4 first downs for the Mad Dogs in the opening quarter. The Argos have yet to pick up any passing yardage, but time of possession is almost even. How do you figure? Well, I guess only 3 points on the board.
Look at that, though. You know, we talk about Marvin Graves and his chance tonight to really show the coaching staff that he could be a quarterback of the future. One of the things he has to do is run with the football. But number 2, I mean, he's got to start completing some balls. I mean, you can't go through a whole quarter and not have any passing yards. I mean, hey, that just doesn't get it done in this league.
First and 10. Memphis at the 52. Allen has to take it himself after a little bit of a mix-up in the backfield. Shipman was there, number 20. And Allen falls forward for better than 5 yards.
And I think this is what Damon Allen has to do quite a bit is, you know, that was going to be a counter, like a
yeah.
draw counter, but, you know, he mishandled the ball a little bit. But, you know, this is what he can do so well is all of a sudden it's a horrible play and he ends up with 7 yards.
Put it in the book. It was good for 6. 2nd and 4, Memphis. Now at the Argo 52. Allen with time, near side. He's on target. And we'll have a first down to Sean Collins. Tommy Henry covering on Collins, but there's enough for a first down for the Mad Dogs.
Well, there's going to be holding brought back. You know, one of the things we talked about with an offensive line that's Gary Anderson, but you know, these penalties, it wasn't the offensive line. It's Gary Anderson right there on Swift Birch. You see the arms are extended out, and no question about that. But, you know, last week against Edmonton, they had a near touchdown by Lucius Floyd, called back by a holding penalty. And these guys haven't learned how to hold yet.
That's what you're telling Pepper yesterday.
I told Pepper, you see, your guys, you know, they want to punch that guy with their hands and get away from him. I said, you got to learn how to get your guys to snug into those linemen and grab a hold of that jersey so nobody can see. They haven't learned that yet.
2nd and 14. Allen rifles one, and another marker goes down. Horn was the intended receiver. Coverage by Joe Miro. And there's a few angry ball players down there. Cummins is in on it, along with Bill Lewis, number 51. Penalty going against the Argonauts in the secondary. Just 3 points on the scoreboard so far.
Legal contact on an eligible receiver. Toronto, number 6, 10-yard penalty. Objection of conduct. Toronto, number 99, 10-yard penalty. First down, Memphis.
So he singled out Marcelo Simmons and Jeff Cummins for 2 Toronto penalties. And now the Mad Dogs are set up at the Argo 42 with a first down. Al Shipman. He ran right into Calvin Tiggle. Shipman will have about 4 yards.
Now, John, when you look at this Toronto defense, I think a couple of question marks might be, you know, their defensive tackles. I don't think there's any question that Jeff Cummins and Swift Birch have had good years on the outside, but what they need are to find 2 people that can really push that pocket. And is it going to be Willie Jennings, number 95, who's starting tonight, or Noah Cantor, who's getting the start, and Lubo Zizakovic that's going to play? Yeah, Cummins right there, he's had a good year, but they need help pushing that pocket from the middle.
On 2nd and 6, Allen goes deep. Jump ball. Who comes down with it at the 1? It looks like an interception going back the other way for the Argos. Hang on. Collins was the intended receiver, and walking away is Tommy Henry. They're still arguing down at the goal line.
Well, I don't know about this one. You know, initially my first reaction when I saw this was, boy, did Tommy Henry ever make a great play to take that ball away from Sean Collins.
The replay will be very interesting on this one, Leaf.
Oh, it sure will.
One official went one way with the call, and another down there went the other way. Here's Ken Lazarek.
Roughing the passer. Toronto, number 70. Half the distance to the goal line. First down, Memphis.
Sheldon Benoit charged with roughing the passer, well away from that.
And he's coming from the top of your screen. The ball is gone, and yeah, there's no question. You got to protect quarterbacks. It wasn't a devastating hit, but sure, that'll count. Doesn't add a lot of yardage onto this play.
Then it doesn't matter what happened on the goal line anyway.
I know. You tell me that's not an interception.
I think it is, but it's irrelevant with the penalty against the Argos on roughing the passer. So the Mad Dogs are set up first and goal to go at the Argonaut 1. Here's Anderson easily into the end zone. Gary Anderson's 3rd touchdown of the season.
Well, John, you know, I think at some point you gotta tell it like it is. I mean, to me, that's an interception. It should be Toronto's ball on the 1-yard line. Yeah, roughing, and maybe it goes back and it's a first down for Memphis. But, you know, have a look. I mean, but as they go to the ground, it's in Tommy Henry's hand.
Yeah, you're right about the interception, and I didn't mean to say it's irrelevant, but Memphis would get the football.
They still
should have had the football, but not necessarily at the 1 for an easy touchdown by Anderson.
I don't know. I mean, in the official's defense, it's a very tough call. We have the ability of the replay, but to me, it's an interception. I stand by it.
Maestro adds one more for a 10-0 Memphis advantage on the Argos. One more look at this. Who gets it? Number 6. He had it coming down.
Now, when you look at who had the possession the most of the way, I don't think there's any question, Tommy Henry. To me, that's a heck of a play. He got jobbed.
should have had the ball, but maybe not be in the end zone quite so easily. Mad Dogs now with a 10-0 lead on the Argos. On a 1-yard run right here. Gary Anderson.
Yeah, here's the strong side of the formation. It's kind of surprising to me that there's no Toronto Argonaut up there, and then you see how easily Bruce Perkins can lead Gary Anderson into the end zone. And, you know, when you've got an overloaded strong formation, I think you have to compensate it. The Argonauts don't really, and for Gary Anderson, pretty easy trip into the end zone. I almost kind of lost sight of the fact that he scored the touchdown. I was still kind of thinking about that interception that maybe should have been.
Coming down at the 15. Ready to return, Tommy Henry, and still on his feet as he reverses, and a marker comes down at the 30. 20 yards on the return. Ford scoring drive, 7 plays to cover 72 yards. Aided by a rough play penalty, and the ball set down at the 1-yard line for Anderson's 1-yard rush in. Had it just been the rough play penalty on the quarterback tacked on, Memphis would have begun at the 23 after the penalty.
Number 6, 10-yard penalty. First down, Toronto.
Net offense, quite a story. 139 for the Mad Dogs. The Argos have managed just 8 yards. Marvin Graves starting inside his 20 this time. It's Mike Clemens. First completion, and Clemens turns it into a first down out at the 30-yard line. Little swing pass to Clemens, and finally a completion for the Argos.
But John, you look at the strength of Memphis, I don't think it's any question it's in their defense, and you know, the 25 defensive categories that are tracked. They lead in 9. Well, I tell you, you know, they're a good team. They're a sound team. They give up a high percentage of pass completions in their secondary, but you don't get a lot of yardage. They tackle so well.
On first down at the 30, Graves took a hit as he delivered from Mazzotti far side. No catch. Darryl Ford coming in on his old teammate, Marvin Graves.
Well, you look at Marvin Graves, and obviously they are struggling tonight, but you know, this is a game that I suspect he's going to get a chance to play the whole way. Ken Austin out with the bruised ribs, and you know, for Marvin Graves, hey, it's only 10-0. You've had a bad quarter. Okay, so what? Shake it off, but now is the time where you've got to start to generate some first downs. Maybe not a lot of points, but some first downs.
This is 2nd and 10. Graves stands in, delivers. He's right on target for Rob Creepo. Creepo slowed down by Jamie Redmond.
Well, Rob Creepo is a guy that I always felt should maybe get a little more playing time than he did this year. Early in the year, he made some big catches. In fact, you know, other than Paul Mazzotti, he's the only Argo receiver to have a 100-yard receiving game. And, you know, tonight he gets his chance with Fairholm out, and that time made himself a good target. I think he can help this club, and, you know, I'm glad to see him getting some minutes here.
Argos now out at the 42, first down. Clemens looking to throw, and looking a little too deep, trying to find Paul Mazzotti. Lyons was with Mazzotti, and Clemens was nailed by Armstrong, getting the ball away.
Well, you can see this one coming. Anytime a back takes a pitch like that and goes a little extra deep in the backfield, watch how deep Mike Clemens goes right now. He's retreating. You kind of have the feeling that he's going to throw it. Actually threw a pretty good pass, and Mazzotti just couldn't quite get to it. I mean, you know, that's about as far as he can throw it. That was it. That was his max right there. Put a lot of effort into getting it downfield.
2nd and 10 Argos. Toronto 42. Graves won't get it away. Cofield and Dawson will share that sack. Cofield celebrating. That's the 3rd time that Graves has been decked tonight.
Well, it doesn't matter if it's Dwayne Ford. He couldn't handle him. Now it's Joe Burgos, the right tackle. He can't handle Tim Cofield either. And this is just speed rush. He gets Burgos off balance. And, you know, this is what I talk about extra effort from Cofield. He almost went down, but he had enough leg strength. Watch right now. He almost goes down, but, I mean, you know, he can see the quarterback in trouble, and he ends up making the play.
Second sack of the game for Cofield. He now has 24 on the season. And the Mad Dogs have it back out across the 35 at the 37. Jordan on the return. 9 yards. Noah Cantor made the tackle. Mad Dogs lead the Argos. It's 10-0. It's Skydo.
CFL Live, brought to you in part by 3M Canada, imagining the unthinkable and developing the unknown. That's 3M Innovation at Work.
Welcome back for a Mad Dogs first down. At the 37, this is Al Shipman away from one. He got away from Tiggle, and he'll run for a first down. Sheldon Benoit couldn't catch up, and Simmons finally forced him out. That's Marcelo Simmons, and there's the man of the hour, Tim Cofield.
He's having a heck of a year. That is an updated figure right now, those 24, and I don't think it's going to be too long before Tim Cofield gets to that spot right there. And he's going to be the #1 guy in the league and gets ahead of James Parker. Those 26 and a half that he had.
He already has 2 in the opening half. Last week against Edmonton, he had 5 sacks in the first half. Allen slips it to Anderson, and he's out across the 55 to about the 54 of the Argos. Cummins makes the tackle for Toronto. The Mad Dogs are moving the football in this one tonight more effectively than we saw them last week against the Eskimos.
Now, I think there's a big reason for that, too.
Well, I thought you might be able to point that out. That Eskimo defense is a little more solid than this one in Toronto, no doubt about it.
A little different, yeah, than the one they're
more aggressive.
Tonight.
Second down and 4. And Allen converts. He'll have a first down as Joe Horn makes the catch far side. Coming into the game, he was 5th in CFL receiving with 63 for 1,245 yards.
Well, he's had a tremendous rookie season and the real bright spot in their offensive scheme, catching the football. I mean, you know, he came to a tryout camp and ends up making the team. And those are his numbers coming into the game. He was 285 yards behind the record set by Max Clark. Now, he has a few extra yards to go along with that tonight. I don't think he's going to get it, but nevertheless, he's had a super year.
David Allen has a first down and time to throw over the middle. Tackle made quickly after the catch by Brett Collins as Al Shipman comes up with his 12th reception of the season. Tomorrow on TSN, SONHL Saturday night, beginning at 7 Eastern. Paul Romanuk and Bob McKenzie providing the previews, interviews, and analysis leading up to the biggest night in hockey. SONHL Saturday night.
Now, they won't be talking about the Montreal situation, will they?
Oh, it's a pretty big game tomorrow night with the Maple Leafs at the Forum in Montreal and all the stories swirling around. Must be fun to be in the media and cover hockey in Montreal.
I don't know. I'm not sure I'd want to be Jacques Laperriere coaching tomorrow night. You know, you might just want to take a full sabbatical out of that whole thing.
Leaf coach Pat Burns signs a new contract today. He'll make $1 million a season. And you likely have to pay him $2 million to send him back to coach at the Forum in Montreal.
I don't think that'd be enough, according to what he says.
This is 2nd and 7. Allen with a deep drop near side, and he missed his target. Sean Collins, number 89.
And Toronto's been a lot more effective when they've had Memphis in 2nd and longer situations and have been able to bring Maurice Kelly into the game as a nickel back, and they've been able to double cover outside and really play hard coverage on the inside receivers, and that's been a very effective defense for them. But it's only good when you get Memphis in 2nd and long, and they haven't had too many of those situations here in the first half. There's Maurice Kelly, not starting anymore in the corner, but he's coming in and doing a nice job at the nickel, and he's going to play a little bit of linebacker tonight as well. Not to stop the run either.
You're right, Gardere off the side of his foot. It's not deep. Bouncing out near the 29. No play for the pinball, Mike Clemens. Argos offense starting to roll a little more effectively. We'll see what Mr. Graves can do when we return. Kent Austin remembers some happier times in the Sky Dome back to about 1989 when he quarterbacked the Saskatchewan Roughriders. As an Argo quarterback, he only won once this season. Looks like he's done for the year.
Well, that's the depth chart of Memphis. He's got there. He's got the plays on his wrist right here. I get the strong feeling he's the offensive coordinator tonight, helping Marvin Graves.
This is Jack Climb. He stopped short of a first down. Graves now good on 3 of 9 passes. First 5 drives were a little bit of a struggle for the Argonauts.
But he did what I think he can do on that first down play is throw on first down, throw short, and now you set yourself up in about a 2nd and 3 or plus, and now they can run the ball. This is a good running situation, I think, for Toronto.
Good call. Here's the pinball reversing his field and trying to get a block. He'll have a first down. Nice read by the pinball Mike Clemens to find a little open space, and he did get a block.
Well, you see, like Memphis is such a team that gets upfield. You can run on 2nd down. This is a good play to run on them. And, you know, Mike Clemens takes advantage of the fact that they pursue so well that he's able to bounce it back outside. But, you know, you can do this against teams that get upfield in a hurry. There's Mike Armstrong. I mean, he's dead in the water there. But, you know, they take advantage of Memphis's strengths and attack them in the proper manner.
Argo's now out at the 42 as Graves looks at a first down. Swings it to Clemens. He looks for another block, and he'll turn this into a decent play. But he had one more block in there. He's about halfway to a first down and stopped by number 26, another former Argo, Darryl Ford.
Well, this was vintage pinball. I mean, a lot of dancing, a nice move to get around Bobby Dawson, who's a good tackler, and there was a lot of good dancing going on until he runs in at 26, Darryl Ford, and the dancing kind of stopped in a hurry right there. I mean, there was no more fancy footwork when Darryl Ford got a hold.
He needed another block from the other Ford. Dwayne for the Argos. On 2nd down, it's the pinball again, and he'll have an Argo first down out across midfield. 4:17 to go to halftime as the Argos finally show a little bit of offense.
Well, they're doing it with the running game on 2nd down right now. You have to go back a long way to remember the last 1,000-yard rusher for the Argonauts. In fact, it was Gil Fenerty, and you know, between Gil Fenerty, Simons, and Doyle Orange, those were the only 3 in Argonaut history to be 1,000-yard rushers. So this has not been a rushing team in their existence.
Out across midfield, Mike Clemens and the Argos first down, and it's Clemens again. Spinning around one more time. He fights his way to about the 51. And it's Darryl Ford on the tackle one more time.
This is a play Toronto put in specifically for this game because they watched Edmonton use it last week in their win over Memphis. And you see Dwayne Ford to the left of your screen. He's going to do a good job on Cofield there and get him pinned enough for Clemens to cut inside. But, you know, they put this in because they saw Edmonton use it successfully.
2nd and 7 at the Mad Dogs 49. Graves with time, looking a little deeper, and almost picked off as he looked for Rob Crefo. And Barry got a hand on it, number 13 for the Mad Dogs, but actually it was behind the intended receiver. 3 minutes to halftime. The Argos showing a little life, but they'll have to kick it away now. It's 10-0 Memphis at Sky Dome.
Welcome back to CFL Control. Coming up at McDonald's halftime, we will preview tomorrow's clash between the BC Lions and the Baltimore Stallions. We'll hear from Pepper Rogers, the controversial coach of the Mad Dogs, and John and Leaf will give us their first half thoughts. Let's get you back to the Sky Dome. The Dogs currently taking it to the Argos. Guys?
So far, 10-0, Derek. Argos offense has moved the ball a little more effectively in the 2nd quarter. There was no offense engineered by Marvin Graves. Terry Baker standing in on a 3rd down punting situation for Toronto. There will be no return on this one as Baker shanks it out of bounds. Penalty marker down at the 40. And Baker a little dejected as he heads to the sidelines after a 14-yarder. That really ruins the average.
Well, he took a peek at Gary Morris coming in on his left side, and that little peek caused him to shank the football. I think Memphis was offside on the play. So Toronto's going to end up getting a first down out of this.
Holding, Memphis, number 86, 10-yard penalty from the point the ball went out of bounds. First down, Memphis.
He got lucky here. That punt won't count against his average, John. But you see coming to the right, he can feel it coming. He feels Gary Morris right there, and that was just enough to make him shank it. But fortunately for the Argos, Mark Walzak was called for holding, and they call it after, I guess.
Absolutely, and on the golf course, a shank like that would be about 30 yards into the trees. Damon Allen on first down for the Mad Dogs. He has Bruce Perkins, and Perkins has a first down. Lost the ball, but I believe it had been whistled down. Argo fans not too happy with the call as Marcelo Simmons actually came up with it. Perkins had plenty for the first down.
And Perkins has caught the ball well for this team this year. That 44 coming into this game, and had another one here. You see at the end of this play, I don't think there's any question he's down on the ground, and the crowd is booing, but that was a proper call.
First down for the Mad Dogs. Allen shotgun, standing in, lots of time, and he's got his receiver open over the middle. Gary Morris is stopped by Joe Fuller. Now the Mad Dogs are inside the Argonaut 40. 31 yards.
Now, this is a neat-looking play, too, the way they overload one side, they clear out, and then watch Gary Morris just come in, and, the other two receivers run everybody off, and now Morris has a nice lane. You lose him briefly in your picture, but, that's a team concept there. Clear out, and let the other guy come underneath, and that's an easy completion.
So this is Al Shipman breaking a tackle and taking off. He is down inside the 25 and stopped by Benoit from behind. Another big play on this Mad Dog drive with 2:01 to go till halftime. Memphis on top 10-0. 15 yards for Shipman.
Nice cut block inside by the right guard, Bill Lewis. Here he is right there. Watch the block he makes. Now, this is one reason why Memphis is better. There's the seal on Cantor. I mean, that is a turf job right there. And, all of a sudden, Shipman's got some running room.
Mad Dogs set up at the Argo 22 as Allen pumps once, looks to the end zone. Touchdown, Joe Horn. 5th touchdown reception of the season for the rookie Joe Horn as he got in behind Marcelo Simmons.
I'll tell you what, he ate Marcelo Simmons' lunch on this one. Simmons new to the league, and I'll tell you what, Joe Horn put a pretty nifty stop-and-go move on Simmons right there. There's the good pump fake by Damon Allen. That froze Simmons completely, and then Joe Horn with the good speed to get into the end zone. And, boy, he just showed Simmons a new move.
Let's go turn this into
lonely feeling. .137 till halftime, and the Mad Dogs have opened a rather impressive 16-0 lead. Make it 17-0 for Memphis leading Toronto. And it didn't take long to get to the end zone that time as Damon Allen finally finished it off with a 22-yard toss to Joe Horn.
good boy, set it up and go get it.
What's up, babe?
Right, look at this. I mean, here's what he did. He started about here, and here, look, he's looking in. Whoa! Here comes Simmons, and then Joe Horn just says, see you later. There it is, little spin.
Spin move.
Goodbye. Goodbye. And it's a corner. It's got to be the loneliest feeling in the world when you know you've been had, and as a receiver, it's a great feeling because you know a move you've worked on in practice really paid off, and you hit it for the home run. It's a corner, you just shake your head. Yeah, he's
What's
mad.
going on?
He's frustrated.
Out of SMU in his rookie season, late cut by the Jacksonville Jaguars, Marcelo Simmons.
He was at SMU, and Forrest Gregg was the athletic director there. Forrest, if he could have seen this play, would have said, you got suckered.
Marcelo. Mad Dogs on top by 17 points. The Argos have not been able to engineer a march or come anywhere close to points in the first half.
Funny, Bob Abilovich and I, when we chatted yesterday, we talked about Marcelo Simmons and what might he give this club. And Opie said, well, number one, he's very physical for a corner. He's very aggressive. He can hit people. And number two, I like him as a cover guy. Might have to do a little reevaluation now. Although, that was a heck of a move.
It was a good move.
That move could have beaten a lot of corners in this league.
Argos running out of time in the first half as Henry carries it out near the 42-yard line. 23 yards on the return. 56-yard kickoff. And how about the Mad Dogs scoring drive for Advil? 4 plays to cover 85 yards. Allen took only a minute 16 and finished it off on the toss to Joe Horn. But there were a couple of other big plays in the drive.
It's regular speed. Watch this. Look inside the pump fake, and no way. You know, the only thing you can do as a corner maybe is to try and grab the receiver, knock him down, and take the penalty. But Joe Horn was by him so quickly. Marcelo Simmons couldn't even do that.
I don't think he had the opportunity to knock him down.
You're right.
Graves on first down near side. And it's Michael Clemens again.
See, the problem for Toronto now, you see the score 17-0. I mean, this is not an Argonaut offense that's a scoring machine that you can fall behind by 17 points and say, hey, that's not a problem, guys. We can come back. I mean, they haven't shown that ability all season long. So, I mean, Bob Abilovich, nobody knows more than him that his team is in big trouble here, even though it's only the first half.
A minute 25 till halftime. Argos looking at 2nd and 1. Graves buys time with a shotgun. He has plenty for a first down. And Bardo had him wrapped up in a hurry. Bardo playing in the middle with Greg Battle on the sidelines this week. And the Argos look to the hurry-up offense here. Adam Rita, former head coach in Toronto, working the sidelines for the first time for the Memphis Mad Dogs. He's usually been upstairs in the box with the overview.
Unusual role for him. He's kind of just going around the team, helping out in all different areas, and no longer the offensive coordinator.
Graves for Creepo. And Barto's in on the tackle one more time with a minute to go till halftime. Argos desperately trying to march for some points to end this quarter on a bit of a high note.
And they have enough time to do it. A little over a minute remaining. And, you know, when they're not a scoring machine, they're now in Memphis territory. They have to take advantage of this opportunity and get something out of it.
Graves looks at 2nd and 2 and releases in a hurry. He'll have a first down to Mike Clemens. Gotta love the way this guy plays football. Game in, game out, year in, year out. Number 31 shows up every night.
Yeah, he sure does. And, you know, a couple of years ago, people said, I mean, is there any gas left in the tank of Mike Pinball Clemens? And, you know, there was a lot of doubt as to, was he finished? But he's come back with a super strong year, and I echo your sentiments, John.
On first down, Climby is halfway to another. With a catch for about 5 yards. Dawson was there, number 27. Danton Bartow also helping out.
It's funny, both quarterbacks in the game tonight, Damon Allen and Marvin Graves, have played better when they've gone to the hurry-up. You know, maybe not as much stuff to think about, and kind of get your own rhythm, your own flow to the game, and your own play calling. And, boy, this is the best drive, obviously, that Toronto's had. And Marvin Graves has done it himself with his own play selection. It's kind of interesting, isn't it?
And with an injury timeout, Graves gets a chance to talk about it on the sidelines. Maybe it's not as good an idea as he chats with Obilovich and Kent Austin over there. You were talking about him making his own selection of plays.
Well, you know, every quarterback has his own ideas and thoughts of how to attack a defense. And, you know, I'd have to think, and Damon Allen's no different, I'd have to think that at times it's tough when, you know, the offensive coordinator's calling all the plays and you have no input really in game situations. Yeah, sure, you could take the odd audible and change a play at the line of scrimmage, but I think sometimes we lose sight of that in this day and age in the 90s, and quarterbacks are so programmed from the coaching staff that they've lost all their ability to create things on the field during games, and to hurry up is the only way that they can get back to that.
This may be a bit of a break for the Argos with 30 seconds to go as ex-Argo Darryl Ford, who's had a great first half, heads to the sidelines for a couple of plays at least.
Must be a funny feeling for him coming back and playing here in Skydome tonight. And he had a couple of great years with the Argonauts, and now all of a sudden he's back here in a place that he played very well.
He was around for the Grey Cup year, gone the following season, and the Argos didn't have much of a year after winning the Grey Cup. Graves in difficulty, looking deep, end zone toss, and it's batted away. Ed Barry, another ex-Argo, got a hand on it. It was intended for Mike Moriali.
Mike Moriali pushed off. He did everything he could to try and make that catch, but Ed Barry was still with him. There's the push right there. I mean, he gets the push off, and Ed Barry still with a great vertical leap got up to knock it away. I mean, you know, Barry got pushed, jostled, everything, and he's talking about it. He's saying, hey, he pushed me. He's telling the ref on the way back to the huddle.
Moriali to the near side this time. This is 3rd down and 4 to go. The Argos might as well go gambling with 18 seconds on the clock till halftime. Here's the charge on Graves. He gets away. Will he be able to save some time and get the first down? We'll see where they spot the ball.
I don't think he got it.
He might have stepped out about 6 inches early to avoid a hit. Still 10 seconds to go.
Well, you know, that's a tough error for Marvin Graves. You know, you want to avoid the hit, you want to get the first down and all those things. And, you know, I don't know how funny that is right now, but, you know, he had a good look at where the first down marker was going to be. And, you know, when you're trying to reprove yourself to your teammates and the coaches, you've got to go the extra distance, and he could have dove, I think, right there. I don't know. Maybe poor judgment on that part.
Watch again. Did he have enough time? Well, no.
See, what happens is when the players start coming towards those sticks, the officials are instructed to lay them down on the ground so there's no violent collision, and maybe Marvin Graves got a false read when that stick was lying on the ground, and maybe it got pushed back a half a yard.
But they still have to stretch them out, and they've got it marked, so it should be fairly close. Shouldn't lose a half a yard.
See, John, you're going to get a good look at it here. What I'm talking about, and you'll see the chain on the sidelines. Here's the chain. Now, look at the slack in the chain right there. That's maybe supposed to be right up about there. You know, you see Marvin Graves. He's looking right down at it, and, you know, he kind of just goes out.
You're saying, yeah, he's looking at the end of the chain, and that's where he lost his time. Yeah, his yard.
I don't know. Sometimes you got to dive and sell the body out, and he just wasn't willing to do it on that play.
McDonald's halftime is straight ahead with Darren Detition. At the half, the Mad Dogs all over the Argonauts. It's 17-0 on CFL Live.
McDonald's halftime, presented by your local McDonald's restaurant. Here's Darren Detition.
Welcome to McDonald's halftime. Tomorrow we will take you to Baltimore for a rematch of last year's Grey Cup. The BC Lions are in town. But losers of 4 straight games, the Leos walk into this one extremely banged up. Danny McManus will not play, so that leaves Julio Caravetta as the team starter. Gord Miller and Glenn Suter are in Baltimore.
Darren, the host team for the 1997 Grey Cup game, is playing host to the 1994 Grey Cup champions tomorrow night as the BC Lions visit the Baltimore Stallions. The big story, Glenn, in this Canada-U.S. meeting is that a Canadian starts at quarterback for the BC Lions.
That's right. Julio Caravetta gets to start. Danny McManus has a bit of a sore hand, so Caravetta gets to start. Now, I went and watched him in practice on Wednesday in Vancouver. He's got a strong arm. He's got lots of confidence. He's done well in relief of McManus throughout the season, and he's got the confidence of his teammates. He's ready to go.
Now, when these two teams met in the Grey Cup game last year, it was, of course, under perfect conditions at the stadium at BC Place. The conditions in Regina are not likely to be that good should Baltimore get there, but this is a great cold weather offense.
They sure are. They have the #1 rushing team in Mike Pringle, but they're the #13 team through the air in the league. So they have a cold weather offense, and with these playoffs coming around, Baltimore's ready to go.
Now, for the Stallions, this game technically doesn't mean anything. They've already clinched first place in the South Division. But for the players here, and especially for the fans, it means a lot because of the rematch of last year's Grey Cup game.
Well, that and the fact that Don Matthews is going to see his biggest crowd of the year here in Baltimore. He's that kind of guy. He's not going to rest anybody. He's going to play all his stars for 60 minutes. He wants to win this football game.
So do the BC Lions, because this game does mean something for them. They could still finish as poorly as 4th in the North Division. Darren?
Hey, thanks very much, guys. Who was the last Canadian quarterback to start in the CFL? Bob Torrance. Ticats, 1993, live from Memorial Stadium. We'll have all the action for you. It's a 7:30 Eastern Time start. You've got the Stallions 13-3, the Lions 9-7. Also tomorrow, the 8-8 Hamilton Ticats are in Ottawa. Last week, the Cats got a huge monkey off their back as they snapped their 4-game losing streak. They go into this contest 2 points back of BC. So, yeah, they can still finish in 3rd place. Steve Taylor will once again get the start for Don Sutherland's team. While in Calgary, it is the rematch. Last week, over 55,000 turned out in Taylor Field to watch the hometown Riders win. Can they do it again on the road? If Saskatchewan does win, they will be in the playoffs, but they will not have Dave Ridgway, robo-kicker, kicking for them. Ridgway has been put on the reserve list, a coach's decision. So Paul McCallum will take his place. By the way, don't expect to see Alan Pitts playing in this one. He is listed as questionable with the flu. We will take a short break when McDonald's halftime returns. Mad Dogs coach Pepper Rogers. We leave you with the CFL's Players of the Week. Stay tuned. We're back in a moment. Welcome back to McDonald's halftime. He is easily one of the most controversial coaches in the CFL. When Pepper Rogers is not walking the Memphis Mad Dogs sidelines, he's holding court with the media, discussing the league's setup, its policy, and its rules. Our Leif Pettersson got a chance to sit down and talk to Pepper.
Pepper, you had a terrific college coaching career with Kansas, UCLA, and Georgia Tech. You moved on in Memphis of the USFL, and now you find yourself as the president, chief partner, and head coach of the Memphis Mad Dogs. I guess the first question that comes to mind, how do you find time in your daily routine to fill all these roles?
Well, you know, we have some good people around us. Obviously, it's like being a head football coach. You got good assistants. They do the majority of the work, and you just sort of try and give them your philosophy, same way in anything else. Whether it's the marketing or the business side of the thing, or trying to get sponsors. You got to have people who believe what you believe, and we're fortunate to do that. We got a lot of things to learn, all of us, about this game.
Let's talk about one of the downsides of the year so far, and I guess that'd have to be the attendance in Memphis. Did you underestimate the city and what kind of support they'd maybe give you?
You know, I think we did. You know, Fred Smith and I, Fred being the chief owner in this thing and the creator and founder of Fellow Express, Fred and I both thought that the city would be so happy to do this, and yet on the other side we found out there were a lot of people out there that said, you know, you promised us the NFL, and now all of a sudden we're in the CFL, and I think that hurt, and I think because of that we got a lot of negative press, and I think that's hurt us. And then we didn't do as good a marketing job as we could have done. A lot of things we didn't know about that, and then the weather was hot, and there's a lot of things. But, you know, the last game we played, if you saw it, there was a lot of activity in the stands, people having a good time. And maybe we can bring this thing forward and as we go along and break through that barrier. I certainly hope so. I like the game.
You know, you bring up negative press, and old Pepper's had some negative press in Canada. People say Pepper wants to change the game. He wants to do this. He wants to do that. Now, here's your chance to tell us, what do you want to do?
Well, you know, listen, I've said this before, you know, I'm sure there are a lot of things my wife would like changed about me. I'd like to change things about her. And that doesn't mean we don't love one another. Right. That doesn't mean I don't like the Canadian game. And everybody's acting like I want to go to 4 downs, 11 guys, and all that kind of stuff, and I'm going to go up there, and the commissioner's going to resign if I do this, and Mr. Torrey's going to resign. I'm not going to say anything. All I ever said was that in all our surveys and polls that we did then we were trying to get people in the game, that they didn't like 3 downs. What do I care whether it's 3 downs or 2 downs as long as the other guys got the same number of games? Also said that we ought to be playing on a 100-yard field in our place instead of a 110. And if you saw the game, you know why. It shortens our end zone, makes our end zone not as big as the college game. I'd rather play on a 20-yard end zone, a 100-yard field in Memphis. I don't want to change this field in Edmonton. I think it's wonderful. You can have 150.
But you see, Canadians are conservative by nature. They want to keep everything uniform, so I'm not so sure that's going to work.
Well, no, I didn't say it's going to work. No, I didn't say it's going to work. I just said I made a suggestion.
Okay, let me ask you this, because you've lived all over the United States. I would consider you an expert, and a lot of people in Canada want to know. There were people that were for expansion, were against expansion. Can it work?
Well, I think it's going to work if we can get some television exposure in the States and of the Canadian game. One of the problems that we have down there, and I mentioned that earlier, as you well know, I said, how do you, somebody said, well, you should have seen the Edmonton BC game when Edmonton did this and did that. I said, we don't see that. And, you know, we don't even see all the NFL games. But we don't see any CFL games, and we don't see ourselves play unless we pay for it ourselves and put it back on cable. So we need some exposure.
Pepper, I'm going to see you for the rest of the year, and I sure hope I see you next year. Thanks a lot.
I appreciate it. It's been nice.
Okay, we have to take another break. When McDonald's halftime returns, it's our game story. Stay tuned. We're back in just a few moments.
Peter Dallariva began his CFL career with Montreal in 1968 and played his entire 14-season career with the Alouettes. As a tight end, he earned All-Canadian honors 3 times. 5 times he led the Alouettes in receiving and finished his career second on the Als all-time receptions and yardage list. Dallariva was a member of 3 Grey Cup winning teams and had his jersey retired in 1981. You can see more on Dallariva and other CFL legends at the Canadian Football Hall of Fame in Hamilton. McDonald's Halftime, brought to you by your local McDonald's restaurant.
Welcome back to McDonald's Halftime. The Mad Dogs defense has been dominant once again. Tim Cofield with 2 sacks in the first half. He now has 24 on the season. Rodney Harding also with a sack in the first half. Damon Allen, 183 yards passing, including 1 touchdown toss to Joe Horn. Toronto, nada. 0 yardage passing in the first quarter. Like Pinball Clemens, he continues to be a bright spot for the Argos. That'll do it for McDonald's Halftime. When we come back, the King, he has not left the building as of yet. The Argos down 17-0 to the Dogs. Stay tuned.
Back to Skydome in Toronto for the second half as the Mad Dogs, gunning for a spot in the playoffs in the South Division, have a 17-0 lead on the Argonauts, who have nowhere to go and didn't show very much in the opening half. Marvin Graves remains the quarterback for the moment for the Argonauts, and really there's no other choice the way they've got things lined up with Austin on the sidelines. Halftime stats favoring the Mad Dogs in just about every category.
John, you look right here, you know, only 96 yards of total offense for the Toronto Argonauts. It's pretty tough to win ball games when you're just doing that. I know they had a rough first quarter with 0 passing yards, but, you know, they picked it up enough in the second, but didn't come away with any points. And we talked about this is not a catch-up team, so, you know, they're in tough this second half.
Damon Allen, 10 of 15, 183 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Marvin Graves, 9 of 17. A rather slow start for Graves. He managed 74 yards and zeros in both of the last 2 columns there. Bob Obilovich trying to figure out in his 3rd stint as head coach of the Toronto Argonauts what he must do to get this team a little bit more competitive. It has been a horrific year for the Argos with 3 wins in 16 games.
I guess what's disappointed me in this game as much as anything, John, is the intensity level. And really both teams. I mean, there hasn't been any really hard hitting out there except the opening one by Bruce Perkins on the kickoff.
Borrielli flipped it to Henry, and Henry couldn't hang on. It looks like Bruce Perkins has come up with the ball for the Mad Dogs. And a few more gray hairs for Obilovich at the Argo bench.
Well, it's funny the way this works, you know. I mean, it's not a bad call. I mean, here's Mike Morreale right here, and Tommy Henry's going to come this way, and he tries to pitch it out to him here, but, you know, they just kind of mishandle this. I'm not sure I'd want a rookie doing this, but Tommy Henry just takes his eyes off the ball. Actually, that wasn't a bad pitch at all.
No, I thought Morreale put it right there.
Bruce Perkins gets the recovery, so now, hey, sorry, Mike, it wasn't your fault. Tommy Henry took his eyes off it, and now you set up Memphis in unbelievable position to begin the second half.
At the 24-yard line, 1st and 10 Mad Dogs. Damon Allen with time. Fired behind his intended receiver, Joe Horn. Murphy was covering. That's 17 on 17. Murphy from the Ottawa Rough Riders for a 5th rounder in futures earlier this week. He began the season in Ottawa, played last year in Edmonton.
Well, boy, you know, let's go back one more time to the pitch. Hey, that's right there. And, you know, Tommy Henry, who's probably not used to handling the ball like that on any kickoff returns, just muffs it.
2nd and 10 for the Mad Dogs at the Argonaut 24. Allen time again, and this time he's on target for Sean Collins down at the 10. Henry makes the tackle. It'll be a 1st down for the Mad Dogs on the turnover, marching for a touchdown here.
And you look at Damon Allen and how he moved the ball around. Number one, his favorite target is Joe Horn. We all know that. He's the leading receiver coming into tonight's action by a long shot. But you see Collins with 3, now 4 on this drive. And, you know, he spread it around quite nicely for a team that didn't complete a heck of a lot of balls in one half of play.
1st and goal at the Argonauts 10. This is Al Shipman. He's more than halfway there, crossing the 5 and slowed down by Brett Collins for 1, number 39.
You know, you have to think that Damon Allen, as long as he has played, to get an opportunity like this with a 17-point lead to begin the 3rd quarter, he's thinking, and I'm sure if he has time to tell his teammates in the huddle, hey, this is the one we want. I mean, we want the touchdown here, and we feel like we can put the game out of reach.
Yep, right.
Second and goal. The Mad Dogs just inside the Argonaut 5 as Allen looks to the corner. He's got Horn. He couldn't hang on. Simmons was covering, but really Horn just dropped the ball. He was in behind the cover, had a touchdown earlier in the game. Couldn't hang on to this one.
Talk about a perfect throw. I mean, faded to the outside, and the only guy that can make the play is Horn. He just couldn't make the catch, lost his concentration. He doesn't do that too many times, but that was a chance for them to really, I think, put this game away early, and Joe Horn just couldn't make the play. See, he's sneaking a peek up at the Jumbotron, too.
How bad is this going to look in the films when we get back to Memphis?
That's what he's thinking. You know, I had a chance to ice the game with my 2nd touchdown catch, and I just couldn't do it. A play that I've made 1,000 times.
Nick Mystrom 1 for 1 tonight.
You know what?
He's connected on 11 straight.
And you know what I think Memphis is doing?
They want some yards back. They want
a better angle.
Yeah.
They did that on purpose. And see, there's Obi. He counters it. They decline it. Now, see, that's good coaching, too, because there's no question. They wanted to move it back and get a better angle at it.
Bob,
so
wait.
Toronto declines it.
Time count violation. Memphis, number 6. The yardage portion has been declined. It still would be 3rd down.
So they'll make Gardere put it down on the 12-yard line.
Does this mean they can take another time count?
I don't think they can do that forever.
It's all academic, wasn't it?
It didn't really matter as Mystrom connects from 12 yards away. This guy came to the Mad Dogs as a wide receiver. Now he's connected on 12 straight field goals.
CFL Live, brought to you in part by Dodge Trucks, Canada's truck stop.
Back live at Skydome. Mad Dogs have added 3 more to the total. It's 20-0 in the Third quarter just barely underway. Nystrom's field goal came off a turnover, the opening kickoff of the second half. Nystrom, did he grow up in Anchorage, or does he just know the mayor up there? Henry on the return for the Argonauts out to the 40-yard line. Tommy Henry stopped by Damian Lyons. Not a bad return, 29 yards. And the Argos with Marvin Graves at the controls. Left decent field position to begin.
Well, we looked at Damon Allen's pass distribution. Now let's look at Marvin Graves, and you can see, you know, only 9 balls caught. But, you know, the guy that I want to see, where is old Paul Mazzotti? I mean, he's the only guy that's had 6 100-yard games this year. He's over 1,000 yards, and yet he's 0 in the first half. If I'm Marvin Graves, I find this guy in a hurry, because the other guys aren't going to get you back in the game as quickly as Paul Mazzotti can.
And on the opening play of the ball game, John Morton went down. He was listed on the opposite side of the field as the other wide receiver to Paul Mazzotti.
You know, it's interesting, John, at halftime, I had a quick chance to talk to Nick Volpe, their player personnel director of the Argos, and a few of the coaches before they went downstairs, and they were pretty disappointed in Marvin Graves there that he didn't dive for that first down late in the second quarter. And you know, I don't know if Marvin's lost his confidence or his stinger or whatever, but he's going to have to run to make himself a successful quarterback. Doesn't look like he wants to, though.
Graves finds Morreale, and he had to come back for it. As a result, not substantial yardage on the play. Don Smith made the tackle on Morreale that time, and the gain is a couple.
2-yard pickup, 2nd and 8.
It's a nice catch by Mike Morreale, but, you know, had he not had to leave his feet, he would have had time to maybe make a move on Donald Smith. But when he had to go up that high, the play was really over.
2nd and 8. Graves stands in, and he'll have a first down. Mike Clemens, another catch. And Odegaard in on the tackle. Don Odegaard played for the Tiger Cats in '94.
And that's the best ball that Marvin Graves has thrown tonight. Here's Clemens up here. He's going to circle out over the middle with the blitz coming, and Marvin Graves sees it. He knows he's got a pretty good matchup. Clemens on Odegaard. Odegaard having to come a long way, and that is the best throw that Graves has made tonight by far.
Argos first down at the 53, and he goes to Clemens again. He fights his way out across the 55, and Rodney Harding makes the tackle, number 77 for the Memphis Mad Dogs. So many great years as a Toronto Argonaut. He was honored at halftime and presented with his jersey suitably framed. Harding, the all-time Argo sack leader, with 92 to his credit.
Yeah, 9 this year with Memphis, so 101 lifetime for Rodney Harding. Pretty successful career.
Graves faces 2nd and 8 again. He'll put it up if he has time. Looking for Grifo, and it's knocked away. Grifo got in behind the cover and was waiting for it. Donald Smith, number 19.
The old illusion.
Grifo, yeah.
The illusion of the zone defense. You know, Grifo's going to the corner. He's looking back on the Jumbotron to see what happens.
I miss?
But, you know, he looks open in the zone. But all of a sudden, Donald Smith leaves his man, sloughs off, comes back, and almost has the interception. That's twice that he's almost picked off balls. But, you know, the zone defense fooled Marvin Graves. He's thinking, ha-ha, I got a guy free. But the zone then closed in on it, and Don Smith made the play.
They'll fake it this time. Casola still going, but he'll come up short on 3rd down and 8 yards to go. They tried to fake to Norm Casola. He comes up short. It'll be another turnover, thanks to Ed Berry of the Mad Dogs. Mobilovich down by 20, pulling out all the stops and trying a little fake here. It's the 2nd turnover of the second half by the Argos.
We had to think that Memphis was kind of looking for it. Here's Norm Casola. They snap it right to him, and he goes this way. But watch Tim Cofield coming. You know, take on the block, spin to the outside. Don Smith will come in from the outside to help. But, I mean, you talk about Cofield. Yeah, he's a great sacker and everything. Watch the spin right here off the block of B.J. Martin. Now Don Smith forces it back inside, and the play is over for all intents and purposes. But at this point in the game, it really didn't fool anybody. But Tim Cofield, you see how fast he got off the block, did the spin. He doesn't make the play, but he helped enough that they didn't get the first down. He's an unbelievable player, and he's having a great year. I hope he gets the record. Nothing against James Parker.
No, but it'd be nice to see a record broken, and he's closing in on it. The record, of course, for quarterback sacks. Lucius Floyd, number 33. Played in Saskatchewan, played with the Edmonton Eskimos, and joined the Memphis Mad Dogs 5 games ago. Mad Dogs with an opportunity to grab a playoff spot, and it's starting to look like they'll have a decent chance at it of catching up to Birmingham. They need a win tonight. Allen to the far side has Walter Wilson, and that'll be another Memphis first down.
Once again in the nickel situation, Toronto coming with the blitz, and Walter Wilson, nothing fancy, but he gets the good push. And then watch the angle that he comes back to the sidelines with. It's the angle. See, now he's working back, and that's how you keep all the separation that you create. And that's a solid pass pattern by Wilson. There's no way that Joe Miro can ever catch up with him.
First down for the Mad Dogs. Allen is deep as he releases over the middle for Bruce Perkins, and Perkins got up ahead of steam. Another first down. As the safety, Dan Murphy, came over to make the tackle, number 17.
You know, sometimes formation create opportunities. They had 4 receivers to the left, and then Bruce Perkins is just back here with Calvin Tiggle. Now, that's a pretty good matchup for Memphis. A year ago, it might not have been, but Tiggle is not having the year he had a year ago, and he can't stay with Perkins, and Perkins has turned into a fine receiver for Memphis. But that's the formation. 4 receivers wide. You got lots of room to work back weak side.
Another Memphis first down from the 27. Allen with a couple of fakes, taking off. Out from behind, just short of the first down by Swift Birch, number 90. We'll see where they spot the ball. It's a pretty good run for Damon Allen.
I said to Damon before the game, I said, you are the best play faker that I've ever seen as a quarterback in this league. And, you know, he does it to perfection. Watch this. You know, here's the fake to Perkins. See what it does to Cummins right there? Oh.
And then Allen stops in his tracks just to sell the fake a little bit more before taking off. He comes up a yard shy. Well, you know, might as well go for it right here. They put the Argos out of their misery.
They can do pretty much anything they want. You know, it's 20-0, 23-0, 27-0. I'm not sure it's going to make a difference. And if I'm Pepper, I say, hey, guys, go have some fun, which he's going to do.
Now, Pepper doesn't have much fun in his life, does he?
Pepper's a very interesting man, maybe somewhat misunderstood in Canada with some of his comments. I think at halftime he clarified some of those in the interview that I was able to have with him.
Third down, less than a yard to go, and they pitch it deep. This is Shipman. He'll have the first down, yards to spare. He'll have the touchdown. Al Shipman. Second rushing touchdown of the season, this one from 17 yards out.
Sometimes on second and short, you don't want to pitch the ball that deep in the backfield, but when you got a guy like Al Shipman that's got this amount of speed, 4.28 in the 40, and these kind of moves right here to get by Tommy Henry, make guys miss. That's 3 missed tackles, 4.
Yeah, that's 4 pretty nice moves, creates a lot of missed tackles.
Now what do you say? Do you say Al Shipman is a terrific running back with lots of moves, or do you just say that there's just a total lack of intensity on the defense of the Toronto Argonauts?
Well, I think there's a little of both right there.
I think you're right.
It was a pretty nice run by Shipman. He had to make a couple of maneuvers. Celebrating touchdown. Number 2 for Al Shipman. It's 27-0 Memphis.
Hey, we'll get you back to the football game in just a moment. The Calgary Flames in Toronto tonight. The Flames up by a count of 2-1 in the third. Theo Fleury will throw it in front to Michael Nylander. He'll make it 3-1. Fleury with a couple of assists. The Flames winless in 6.
Damon Allen and the Memphis Mad Dogs keeping their playoff hopes alive with a 27-0 lead on the Argonauts.
You know, you go back and you look at this play, and we counted 4 missed tackles originally, and Tommy Henry misses right there. Now watch Marcelo Simmons. I mean, that shoulder tackle won't get it done. Murphy overruns it, and, you know, he can't grab on long enough to hold Shipman from the end zone. But, hey, Shipman, that's a nice run. But on the other hand, you know, where's the intensity out there on defense? There's none. It's disappointing to watch sometimes.
To say it's been a long season for the guys in blue is an understatement. Here's the pinball. One of the bright spots for the Argos tonight. Still scrapping to get out to the 45. And the scoring drive for Subway, 5 plays to cover 60 yards, and finished off beautifully on a fine 17-yard dash by Al Shipman.
Yeah, and again, you know, taking advantage of a turnover. I mean, the fake punt didn't get the first down, so now all of a sudden Damon Allen takes it downfield, gets 7 more points in the turnover. So that's 10 this half on Argo mistakes. A fumble on the kickoff return, and then a missed attempt at a 3rd down punt fake.
Graves standing in on 1st down. He has Jock Climb. He stopped short of the 1st down. Wrapped up by Jamie Redmond, number 30.
And of course, this is what Memphis is going to give you now with a 27-0 lead. Is a lot of 4-man rush and drop a lot of people off, and, you know, just come up and make good tackles. Now they finally gone to the double team, and Cofield still beats it. Kind of beats it late, but nevertheless still beat it.
2nd and 4 Argos. Another charge on Graves, but he gets it away for Creepo. It'll be a 1st down. Rob Creepo. Wrapped up by Don Odegaard and Darryl Ford. There's a marker down, and it's right in the Argo backfield. We'll check it out.
Holding, Toronto number 57, 10-yard penalty, 2nd down repeated.
That's Carl Coulter, the Argo center. So now it flips to 2nd and 14. Argos back at the 41, trailing 27-0 to the expansion Memphis Mad Dogs. Graves had Clemens. He couldn't hang on. Redmond on Clemens that time as we send you back to Darren.
Hey, thanks very much, John. Some big hits on the ice as well. Some big goals. 2-1. Hartford Whalers leading Pittsburgh until Mario Lemieux goes to Nedved. It's a power play goal that ties it at 2. Hartford 4-0 going in.
Another kicking situation for Baker. Anthony Jordan returning for the Mad Dogs. Out to the 45. Nice little 15-yard return.
A nice little hit by Jamie Redmond coming up here on Mike Clemens. Should have made the catch, but, you know, that's right in it. And, you know, Mike Clemens is thinking, I'm trying to move and catch at the same time. And, you know, not only does he drop the ball, but he takes a pretty good shot from Jamie Redmond. See, when you're in Memphis, you bring your own band. That's not a big band, but at least you bring your own band, and the budget just doesn't allow for more than one.
And in the crowd tonight, somewhere about 13 Elvis sightings.
That trumpet's been bounced around a little bit. See the dents in that? That thing better go to Dent King pretty soon.
Lucius Floyd, and he was wrapped up by Sheldon Benoit, number 70, getting his first start as a Toronto Argonaut.
Well, you look at Sheldon Benoit, and a pretty good opportunity for him to show the coaches what he can do. He's starting over Joe Sardo tonight. They like his athletic ability. You know, they feel that he could be a contributor to the team. And he's a local Toronto guy, went to Sir John A. Macdonald Collegiate.
And from there to Western Kentucky.
And I know what the thinking is. I mean, Joe Sardo is a pretty solid player, but he's not nearly as athletic as Sheldon Benoit. So for Benoit, I mean, he's got a good chance to make an impression.
Allen on 2nd and 9 takes off, and he stopped short. He ran into Calvin Tiggle after being slowed from behind.
That's the first real hit that Calvin Tiggle's made tonight. And you know, it's funny, at halftime, I talked to a lot of people at halftime. I talked to John Williams, who's here. He's a scout with the Detroit Lions. And you know, I played against John years ago. He's a defensive back with Hamilton. And I said, who are you looking at tonight? And he said, I'm looking at Calvin Tiggle, playing out his option. Tiggle's made it no secret in the papers here that he may want to explore his opportunities in the NFL. But you know what John Williams told me? He said, I think Mike O'Shea's a better linebacker than Tiggle right now. Mike O'Shea's a Canadian playing in Hamilton. So how's that for how he feels about O'Shea over Tiggle?
O'Shea has certainly had a better season when he's been able to play, and the Tiger Cats have had a great season with O'Shea in the lineup. When he's been out, the Ticats have looked fairly ordinary.
They didn't look ordinary last week when they pounded BC, did they?
But O'Shea was back.
You got it.
Yeah.
There is a definite old Mike O'Shea factor with that club, isn't there?
The record is astonishing. When O'Shea missed the games that he was out for,
like 1-5 or something like that.
They only won once with O'Shea out of the lineup. And he's back, and the Ticats have locked up a playoff spot.
Well, there's what Mike Clements has done tonight. He's the league leader in all-purpose, so he adds 133 to his total. Of course, you know, he has the record back in 1990 when he hit 3,300 yards.
Graves missed his target by a couple of yards, looking for Crepo, far side. Sunday NFL game day at 11:45 a.m. Eastern time. Chris Berman and the crew set up the action of the busiest day in football on NFL game day. And then at 7 Eastern, Berman and company back to recap the Sunday games and set up the action for Sunday nights and Monday. Catch it all on TSN.
Yeah, that NFL game day, that's a good show. I enjoy watching that.
Go take him. Reload. Over here, Ed.
2nd and 10. Argonauts down by 27. Graves finds Clemens, and Clemens turns it into a first down. He's surrounded by about 4 Mad Dogs down there. Still scrapping for a little bit of extra territory. Sixth catch of the ball game, 61 yards.
He averages usually about 7-8, so he's well above that average tonight, about 10 yards. A grab for him.
Mazzotti gets away from one. First catch of the ball game as he races toward the end zone, and he's caught from behind. However, he's down inside the 25. Dawson got up to him with help from Smith, and it's a 40-yard gain for Paul Mazzotti.
And Paul Mazzotti can give you this dimension, make somebody miss the quick move to the outside. Donald Smith can't hang on, and all of a sudden Mazzotti has Toronto in scoring range. You know, it's a mystery to me why we're 2 minutes left in the third quarter, and this is his first catch.
Graves on first down. Orielli near side. Go first down. He's rolled out of bounds by Odegaard with a little help from Damian Lyons. So a little life in these Argos, the last sequence anyway.
Well, the game for a quarterback is all confidence. Marvin Graves has had none tonight, but now all of a sudden, you know, you could just see the lift when Paul Mazzotti caught a ball, made a big play, and you know, now Marvin Graves is throwing like he did last year with confidence.
On first down at the 10, and almost picked off. He looked for Clemens, and it went right to Danton Bardo, number 59, starting at middle linebacker in this one. And Bardo just about had the interception.
This is one of those tunnel vision plays that Marvin Graves never really sees a middle linebacker. You know, he's eyeballing that receiver, Clemens, the whole way. He doesn't cut in. And Bartow's right there, and see him in the middle of your screen. And looks like this was just intended for him, saying, here, have a free interception. But he couldn't hang on.
2nd and 10 Argos at the Memphis 11. Graves trying to buy a little time. He won't get it away. Rod Waldrop. And it looked to me like he should have fired that one.
Well, I think he should have too, John. I mean, you get down in scoring range. Now all of a sudden you may be in jeopardy. The all-out blitz is coming. Denton Bartow 59 right up the middle. And as Marvin Graves turns around, he's got Rob Waldrop right there. And, you know, hey, that thing should be gone right now.
Yep.
You got to throw it into first row because you're going to take the sack. And now for Terry Baker, you know, this is going to be a long field goal attempt of 43 yards when it would have been up, you know, around the 11-yard line where they would have scrimmaged it.
Baker's longest of the season from 48, hitting on 58%. And he's on target there as the Argos finally get on the scoreboard with 25 seconds to play in the 3rd quarter. 27-3. No doubt about it, a lot more on the line for the Memphis Mad Dogs with a playoff spot still a possibility. The Argos are cooked for the season, but they've been cooked since the season began when you look at the record that they've been able to put up. 3 wins and 13 losses.
You know, Marvin Graves has had a tough night, and, you know, part of the problem sometimes is he's just not making good decisions. I mean, you know, hey, listen, you're in huge trouble right here. You've got nobody. You've got no hope to complete a ball to anybody. So, hey, listen, you might as well get rid of it. He's thinking about it there, and now it's too late. It's too late. Rob Waldrop is there. They get their 4th sack. You know, Terry Baker still made the field goal, but Marvin Graves is having trouble making the right decisions. And maybe that's playing time, or maybe that's confidence. I'm not quite sure right now.
Allen on first down has Jordan, and Jordan has a chance to break this one. Grabbed from behind by Murphy. Anthony Jordan, not listed as a starter, gets into the ball game in relief of Sean Collins and comes up with a 45-yard gain. That's all for quarter 3 with the Mad Dogs all over those Argonauts. 27-3. Mad Dogs trying to keep a playoff hope alive with a 27-3 lead on the Argos right now. Late Saturday, Olsen Motorsport Formula One Racing Series, 3rd last race of the season. Damon Hill must win all 3 in the series to catch the defending champion and current points leader Michael Schumacher. Only needs to gain points in each race to win the title again.
Hey, Glenn Rogers back in E-Town. Ray Alexander, Ottawa. Who else is it? All the old teammates back in E-Town.
That is, of course, the Fog, Ricky Foggy.
And those Mad Dogs are happy guys, despite the name.
Now, you look at offensively for Memphis, John, we said they've struggled all year, but 373 yards after 3 quarters of play is a job well done for them. And, you know, the big reason why they have a 27-3 lead.
That was the guy the Argos were counting on, and the Argo bomb squad was supposed to be under his direction. That's Kent Austin to the left of your screen. It didn't work out for Austin. He won only 1 game as an Argonaut quarterback this year. He's been hampered by injuries since the season began. That's part of the problem, but he had several starts and couldn't really get it done until he beat the Winnipeg Blue Bombers 2 weeks ago.
Purple! Purple!
1st and 10, Mad Dogs at the Argonaut 30-yard line, trying to add to the total. Allen with loads of time, looking for Shipman, and this one is picked off. Grabbed by Simmons on the goal line, and he stopped almost immediately. Marcelo Simmons beaten earlier in the game by Joe Horn for a touchdown. First interception in the Canadian Football League for Marcelo.
And David Allen got fooled on this one. He thought Al Shipman was long gone in the corner, but Marcelo Simmons left his man and came back underneath and made the nice play, very similar to what Donald Smith did earlier against Toronto, leaving his man. Simmons left his and comes up with the interception. You know, the illusion of the zone defense. Now, they fooled Damon Allen twice tonight. Once with a blitz that he thought the middle was open, and it wasn't. Joe Fuller got the interception. And now with the zone coverage that he thought they had blown the coverage, but Simmons was right there. So those are 2 interceptions, the direct result of Allen being fooled.
Argos have to begin at the 3-yard line, but they do have the ball. This is the pinball. Mike Clemens running hard as usual. Tough to bring down. Tomorrow we'll catch up with Tracy Hamp as he takes on the BC Lions and the Stallions.
Yeah, how about this game? You know, Julio Caravana is going to start a quarterback for BC tomorrow over Danny McManus. First career start for Caravana. I'm trying to think of the last Canadian quarterback for BC, and I suspect it was Eric Guthrie. We used to call him the Canadian Rifle. He was the Canadian quarterback.
Bob Torrance got a start in '93, not with BC. Almost picked off. It is tipped in the air by Barry and grabbed as the Mad Dogs head toward the end zone one more time. Bobby Dawson had it bounce to him. Ed Barry had the first opportunity at the interception, and it ended up in the midst of Bobby Dawson.
You know, here again, Marvin Graves, I think poor decisions, and you'll see Jock Climby. I mean, he's wide open short. There he is. They don't throw to him. They try and work it into Crefo where there's no lane. The tip, and Bobby Dawson gets the interception. But, you know, you talk about decision making, and, you know, we're not being hard on Marvin Graves. He's just having a bad night. Jock Climby's wide open, and yet for some reason he wants to force it in, and he pays the price and gets the interception. There, you're going to see Climby. There he is right there. There you see his blue helmet at the bottom. He's wide open. I mean, there's an old expression called take the crumbs, and that's take the little things that a defense gives you. Marvin Graves wasn't willing to do that.
4th turnover by the Argos. 1st and goal to go for the Mad Dogs. And not this time. Perkins began at the 5 and lost some yards. Swift Birch was there, number 90.
And you know, this kind of a season is really eating away at Swift Birch. He's a winner. He's a good player, and the Argos haven't played well, but he's kept playing well himself personally. Makes a good play there, has 9 sacks on the season. But you know, as hard as he plays the game, he can't be happy with the way his defense has played all season long.
2nd and goal to go now at the 15-yard line after a 10-yard loss. Allen gets a big charge. The ball comes loose, and the Argos may have it right back. Argos get it. Dan Murphy in his first game for Toronto comes up with a loose ball.
This is a pretty good stunt by the Argonauts. You got Noah Cantor coming this way, coming to the outside, and here comes Dan Murphy. The 3rd time he's come on this kind of a safety blitz tonight. Shipman can't handle him. Little fake to the inside, and then they all kind of meet right there. And Damon Allen can't hang on to the ball. Brett Collins in there too. He was coming from the outside. That's 3 guys to kind of, how do you divide that one up on that sack? 1/3, 1/3, 1/3.
I think they'll go halves, don't they, on sacks?
I know. They may have to create a new category for that one.
Mike Clemens. 5 more for the pinball. Marvin Graves engineered the Argos' biggest 4th quarter comeback in team history against Hamilton October 2nd, when he engineered a late 3rd quarter drive and rallied the team to 4 straight 4th quarter touchdowns. What do you think? Any chance today?
I don't think there's much chance. And do you think it's been a fun night for Dwayne Ford? That's been his assignment the whole night. And he doesn't get much of the glory stuff. You know, he's only had 13 carries all year and doesn't get to handle it much. And now he has to have Cofield to go along with them.
Graves on 2nd and 6, and he has it go right through his receiver's hands. Jock Climby went up and didn't come down with the ball.
You know what? This game reminds me of a pitcher that doesn't throw a lot of strikes. And sooner or later, the infielders kind of just get back on their heels and they kind of lose interest in the game. And they start to have some errors or something because they never think the pitcher's going to hit the plate. Well, I feel like the Toronto receivers are thinking that Marvin Graves is never going to hit them. So they've lost their concentration, too, because Climby should have caught that ball.
Baker's kick down near the 35. Taken by Jordan, who finds a seam. Spinning, he crosses the 55 and down to the Argonaut 50. Long night in Argoland one more time. It's 27-3. Memphis on top of Toronto. CFL Live from Skydome, and a former Argo is in at the controls of the Memphis Mad Dogs now as Ricky Foggy takes over for Damon Allen, who has a rather healthy lead. Shipman takes the handoff, and he's out near first down territory. Out across the 45. Foggy's numbers on the season, he hasn't seen a whole bunch of activity. 1,105 yards, but he did get a couple of starts with Allen down. And Allen finishes this way. 14 for 22, 271 yards, the 1 touchdown and 2 interceptions.
Should have had 2 touchdowns. Joe Horn dropped the other one. That was absolutely a perfect throw.
And the interceptions didn't cost the Mad Dogs much at all. The Argos have just 3 on the scoreboard. Anderson on second down and a long yard. Calvin Tiggle in the middle of things for the Argonauts one more time. Tomorrow, so NHL Saturday night. Paul Romanuk and Bob McKenzie with previews, interviews, and analysis leading up to all the big games on Saturday night. Join us for that. SONHL Saturday night on TSN. How close did Anderson get? Well, he needed better than a yard, actually close to 2.5. He didn't get the spot he was looking for. Third down and a yard to go for the Mad Dogs with Ricky Foggy now at the controls. Might as well go for it as Mystrom looks on from the sidelines. He's had another perfect night kicking field goals. Anderson swings it wide and then cuts it back in. It'll be a first down. Let's send you back to Darren and update things in CFL control.
Hey, thanks very much, John. We take you to Maple Leaf Gardens. The Leafs down 3-1 to the Flames, but it's a power play goal. Doug Gilmour bants it out of the air, his second of the season. It's now 3-2 in the third period of play.
Rushing yards, Memphis 112. The Argonauts have 62. It'll be Mike Clemens total. And another Memphis first down. Foggy operating out of the shotgun as Anderson swinging around the left side, forced out by Dan Murphy. Anderson averaging just 3.4 yards a carry. He has a touchdown here tonight.
And I think you see the advantage of having 4, what you would have to call above average running backs on a roster. I mean, Gary Anderson hasn't had a lot of work tonight, but now all of a sudden, halfway through the fourth quarter, he gets a chance to run the ball, and he just absolutely outruns the Argo defenders to the outside and picks up some solid yardage.
It'll be another first down for the Mad Dogs.
You got Anderson, Perkins, Shipman, and Lucius Floyd. I mean, those are 4 pretty good backs.
This is Shipman, and well read by the Argo defense. Shipman is held to little or no gain. Swift Birch, number 90. Grabbed number 20 that time. Speedy little guy, Al Shipman. Missed 1 game this season with a knee injury, and Shipman averages 5.2 yards when he gets his hands on the ball.
Vance Hammond, the center, we're going to follow him for a few plays because he's really an interesting story, the transformation he's made. He came into camp as the 3rd string backup guard. He's been a defensive tackle all his life. Now all of a sudden, injuries in preseason, he becomes the center. We're going to watch and see how he does.
Foggy looks for 6, and he can't get it. Horn is calling a foul, and there is a marker down in the vicinity. Joe Horn working against Marcelo Simmons. He beat him for a touchdown earlier. And the indication is from Ken Lazarick coming right up. Discussion continuing down there. He was pointing to the Memphis backfield initially. Let's see what the call is.
Ineligible receiver, Memphis, number 17, declined. Third down, Memphis.
So Joe Horn lined up illegally, I take it, unless he stepped out of bounds. Leif, what did you see?
I didn't see him step out of bounds. That's a tough call for me to figure out exactly what happened on that.
Unless he lined up on the line of scrimmage incorrectly. Meisterman is 2 for 2 and 12 for his last 12. Couple of chip shots here tonight. This from 28 yards away. Oh, he missed. So the streak ends at 12 after failing 10 in a row coming into tonight's game and then hitting 2 more tonight. Memphis comfortably in control, however, folks. 28-3.
Hey, we take you back to Maple Leaf Gardens. The Flames up by a goal. Theo Fleury breaks in. He throws it back to Nylander, who can't get a shot off. The Leafs pick the puck up. They move down ice. Doug Gilmour goes to Mike Gartner. He goes shell, beats Rick Tabaracci. That ties it at 3 in the third period of play. Let's get you back to Skydome.
And just in time for an Argo first down with 7:11 to play, fourth quarter. Argo's down by a bunch. Mike Clemens has been running his heart out tonight. Slips to the outside. And Damian Lyons brought him down.
Well, you know, you got to look at bright spots for the Argonauts and what are the things that they're doing well. How about this block by Paul Mazzotti coming back on Darryl Ford right here? And, you know, this isn't a fun job to take on the big linebacker, but Mazzotti lines him up and gets just enough that Ford can't make the play when he thinks he's right there. So, you know, Mazzotti only 1 catch, but trying his best to help his club any way he can.
1 catch, 1 block there, and here's the pinball for the first down. Second and a couple. He's the all-purpose yards leader in the CFL coming into the game with 2,232, and then add this to it tonight, 172. So it gives him a little bit of a cushion on everyone chasing the pinball for the all-purpose yards total.
Well, to put that in perspective, he now has 24.04 in yards, and the next closest is 22.20, Mike Pringle. So, you know, he's doing a good job to put the pressure on Mike Pringle tomorrow. And Corey Philpott and Chris Wright.
Yeah, because it's a 4-way race for this title this year, which is kind of fun.
Well, you know, like those other players are great players, and, you know, not to play favorites or I'm going to play favorites. I hope Pinball Clemens wins. I'll go on record as saying that. And he's such a great guy and struggling through a tough year with a team. I hope he wins that title. There, is that favoritism?
Well, when you watch this guy play football, if there's a few guys out here who quit tonight, he is not included in that number. Here's Mazzotti, his second catch of the ball game, and it's another big game for the Argos as Mazzotti gets inside the 25. 34 yards. Mazzotti had a 40-yard reception earlier.
Here's Mazzotti. They kind of switch places. Crepo goes outside, then Mazzotti comes inside to get some nice position to run the corner. There's a little look inside and break back to the outside. And, you know, he's working on Lilo Lang right there, and that's a nice move to set up the defensive back and get him turned just enough.
Graves on first down. Looks for it all. Great catch by Climby, but he couldn't hang in.
That may be the best hit of the night by the Paul Arp band line, who made the good hit on Jock Climby. Give him credit. This is a nice catch. This may be the best hit of the night right here by Paul Arpin. Who's he playing for? He's playing for Memphis.
He's a great mover.
He moved. He didn't even have to move there to make that hit. He just stood there. Paul Arpin made the hit. Now they're trying to rearrange Paul a little bit. Get him back nice and underneath.
Argos on 2nd and 10. Graves stands in. Can he get away? From the first wave, yes, but here comes Cofield. Now he looks into heavy coverage, and it's Grifo and Mazzotti in the area. No one can make the catch.
You know, you look at Memphis, talk about your 13th man. You know, some people say it's the home crowd, and tonight the 13th man for Memphis is Paul Arpin. There he is. He's still a little scrunched up there.
Official mover of the Canadian Football League, Paul Arpin.
Yeah, I played in their golf tournament this year. Had a good time. The 13th man for Memphis tonight. That's good.
Damian Lyons is the injured Mad Dog. 5:06 to go, 4th quarter. Another one of those long nights for the Argos. Argos are 2-6 at Skydome on the season. 1-8 on the road. Lyons, an ex-Eskimo who went down, tried his luck in the National Football League with the Chargers this year, and then ended up in Memphis.
And the Eskimos were mad about that because they had a verbal agreement. They let him out of the option year to go down to the NFL with the understanding that if he didn't make it, he would come back to them. He didn't. He went to Memphis, and Edmonton was mad.
So, it started for the maddest of canines tonight in TO against the Argos. Let's take a look and see. The Mad Dogs, they come out smoking, hitting everything in sight. Johnny Morton here gets smoked by Bruce Perkins. Oh, what a hit. His lid goes flying. The Dogs, vicious on D as well, shutting down the Argos passing attack. Graves gets rocked by Tim Cofield. Cofield's 23rd sack of the season. Then it was ex-Argo Rodney Harding coming after the Argos QB. Harding gets to Graves, down he goes, 9th sack of the year. Then Memphis, a little offense. Damon Allen hooking up with Joe Horn on the streak. It goes 22 yards, 17-0 at that point. Elvis, yeah, he was in the building singing Blue Suede Shoes. 2nd and short. Allen will pitch it to Al Shipman. He gets hit, but evades the tackle, keeps on rolling, gets into the end zone. What a move, 27-0 for the guys from Memphis, and the Mad Dogs have plenty of reasons to toot their horn. Memphis wins it 28-10. They stay alive in the playoff hunt.